Have you ever gone out of your way for someone, only to realize they never truly noticed or cared? As we grow older, many of us become more open-hearted, freely offering our support, time, and even financial help. We do it out of love, out of habit, or simply because we want to make a difference. But here's the tough truth: not everyone deserves that effort. In this video, we'll talk about 4 kinds of people you should stop helping in your later years. These are the ones who will gladly take what you offer, but give nothing in return. Worse, they'll make you feel like you owe them emotionally, mentally, even financially. And they often wear such convincing masks that you won't see their real intentions until you're already feeling used. If you want to protect your emotional peace, your finances, and your personal boundaries, it's crucial to recognize these behaviors early on. No matter how much someone pleads or paints themselves as a victim, some people just aren't worth the energy. So stick with me to the end, because once you know who these 4 types are, you may start seeing some relationships in a whole new light. And that insight can save you from years of unnecessary stress. Let's jump in with number 1. The chronic taker. This person is the type who is always asking for help, whether it's money, time, or emotional support, but never reciprocates. You'll notice that no matter how much you give, there's never any real gratitude, and you never seem to get anything back. Over time, it becomes exhausting. Think about someone like Ben. Ben is 72 years old, retired, and spent his entire career working as a carpenter. For years, he's been helping his cousin whenever she asked. Whether it was lending money, fixing something around the house, or just offering a listening ear, Ben always said yes. But as the years went on, Ben started to notice something. Despite all the help he'd given, his cousin was still making poor choices and continually coming back for more. She wasn't changing. She wasn't learning. Ben's kindness was enabling her irresponsibility. His savings were starting to dwindle, and he was getting more and more frustrated with her lack of progress. The issue was clear. She was a chronic taker. She would take but never give back, emotionally, financially, or in any other way. What did Ben learn? He needed to set clear boundaries. It's okay to say no. In fact, it's necessary for your peace of mind. You can't keep giving and giving if the other person isn't meeting you halfway. And the biggest lesson: don't waste time hoping they'll change. Some people are just stuck in a pattern of dependence, and no amount of your help will fix that. If you want to protect yourself, you have to stop enabling. 2. The emotional manipulator. Next, let's talk about a much subtler but equally dangerous type of person: the emotional manipulator. This individual doesn't ask for help directly. Instead, they use your emotions to control you. They might not even know they're doing it, but they've mastered the art of making you feel guilty, sad, or responsible for their well-being. It's all about guilt and pity. Think about someone like Bella, a retired nurse who spent her career caring for others. One of her closest friends, Emma, was always in need of help. But here's the catch: Emma never directly asked for anything. She would make offhand comments like, "I don't know what I'd do without you," or, "I'm feeling so down today, I can't handle this on my own." Before Bella knew it, she was once again stepping in to lend a hand. Whether it was with Emma's finances, her personal problems, or just emotional support. At first, Bella didn't mind because she cared for Emma. But over time, Bella began to realize that this wasn't a balanced relationship. Emma was always asking for help but never offering anything in return. She was playing on Bella's emotions, manipulating her into feeling responsible for Emma's unhappiness. This situation is all too common, and it's important to recognize the manipulation tactics. They might not always be as obvious as Emma's comments. It could be someone in your life who constantly seeks your sympathy without offering anything of value back. If you recognize this behavior, don't be afraid to respect your own boundaries. A genuine relationship is built on reciprocity, not manipulation. If it feels like you're the only one giving, chances are you're being emotionally manipulated. You don't owe anyone your emotional labor, especially if they are using guilt to control you. 3. The reckless spender. Now, let's address a type of person who can seriously impact your financial security. The reckless spender. This individual continuously makes poor financial decisions, but instead of learning from their mistakes, they turn to you to bail them out. Let's consider Jack, a 74-year-old retired mechanic. Jack has worked hard all his life, and after retiring, he hoped to enjoy his golden years without worrying about money. But his grandson, who's in his mid-20s, keeps running into financial trouble. Whether it's credit card debt, buying things he can't afford, or just mismanaging his finances, Jack's grandson never seems to learn. Every time something goes wrong, he comes to Ron asking for money to cover his bills or get him out of a bind. Jack loves his grandson, but he's starting to feel the strain. Every time he helps, it doesn't fix anything. His grandson continues to make the same mistakes, and Ron's own savings are beginning to dwindle. This is a clear example of how enabling bad financial habits can hurt everyone involved. The best advice here is don't enable poor decisions. If you continue to bail someone out without them taking responsibility for their own actions, you're teaching them that there are no consequences for their behavior. Instead, encourage them to learn how to manage their own finances, but don't put your retirement savings at risk to cover their mistakes. Your financial security is just as important as theirs. 4. The perpetual victim. Lastly, let's talk about the perpetual victim. This person is constantly complaining about their life, blaming others, and refusing to take responsibility for their own circumstances. They always seem to be in crisis, and they always expect sympathy and help from you, but they never want to make the changes needed to improve their situation. Emily, a 71-year-old retired teacher, had a friend named Lauren who fit this description perfectly. Lauren was always in some kind of crisis. One week it was her health, the next it was her family, and the week after that she was upset about her career or finances. No matter what the issue was, Lauren never took ownership of her part in the problem. She would blame everyone around her, pointing fingers and demanding attention and sympathy. For years, Emily tried to help Lauren, listening to her, offering advice, even offering financial assistance at times. But the more she helped, the more drained she became. Lauren's attitude was always one of victimhood, and she never took steps to improve her situation. At some point, Emily realized that she couldn't continue to help someone who refused to help themselves. Lauren was stuck in a cycle of negativity, and it wasn't fair to Emily to carry that emotional burden. The best thing Emily could do was step back and focus on her own peace. You can't help those who don't want to help themselves. As you reflect on the 4 types of people we've discussed today, it's important to remember one key truth. You don't owe anyone your peace of mind. As we age, our emotional and physical energy become more valuable, and it's essential to guard that energy carefully. The people we surround ourselves with can either contribute to our happiness and fulfillment, or they can drain us dry, leaving us feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. Now, I know it might feel difficult at times to say no to those who ask for help, especially when they've been a part of your life for so long. We've all been conditioned to be kind, to be helpful, to offer support, but there comes a time when you must consider your own needs first. Your mental, emotional, and physical well-being should always be your priority, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to help anyone else in the long run. It's okay to step back from relationships that are not serving you. It's okay to take a hard look at those around you and assess whether they are giving as much as they are taking. If you identify people who fall into any of these categories, be it the chronic taker, the emotional manipulator, the reckless spender, or the perpetual victim, it doesn't mean you have to cut them off entirely, but it does mean setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are safeguards that protect your peace, and they allow you to show up in relationships in a healthy way. You can still love and care for people, but you must do so in a way that doesn't compromise your own well-being. And let's be honest, it's not easy to take these steps. You might feel guilty. You might feel like you're letting people down. But remember this, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving without receiving, you will eventually burn out. The best way to care for others is by first caring for yourself. This means learning when to say no, when to distance yourself, and when to stop enabling unhealthy behaviors. At the end of the day, aging is meant to be a time of reflection, peace, and enjoying the fruits of your labor. It's about surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, people who bring positivity and balance into your life. Life becomes far more enjoyable when you don't have to constantly manage other people's problems, especially when those people are not willing to make any changes to improve their own situations. So, take a moment to think about your own relationships. Do any of these 4 types sound familiar? Take stock of the people in your life and ask yourself, are these people contributing to my happiness and well-being? If not, it's time to make some changes. It might be difficult at first, but the long-term benefits to your mental health, emotional peace, and overall quality of life will be well worth it. By identifying these behaviors and setting boundaries, you're not being cruel. You're being responsible, not just to others, but to yourself. And remember, protecting your peace is a form of self-respect. Don't let anyone take that away from you.